Adaptability is without a doubt one of the most important skills that you need to develop as a young man, because all it comes down to is solving problems, having answers to questions, right? When you think about it and you go back in time, nowadays, right, I understand there's always tough times, but we're living in the most comfortable time, right? The fact that you can control the temperature in your shower, the fact that you have a toilet, right? Back in the day, it was much harder. These things were non existent. Even this switch, the light, was non existent, right? So we live in a much more easier time. But back in the day, when people had much more struggles, right, they had to solve problems, they had to adapt. If it was too cold in some place, they had to move or they would die. If there was no food, they had to go somewhere else, or they had to invent some new tool to hunt, right? Or they had to take the skin of an animal to keep themselves warm, right? Humans have always had to adapt to keep on moving forward and to survive and eventually thrive in society, right? And in today's day and age, even though the struggles might not be as exaggerated as those, this is still present in your life as a man, because you have a burden of perform. I mean, that's what people call it, a burden of performance. But I think you have an obligation. That's the way I see it, right? An obligation to perform. And your job as a man is essentially to solve problems, right? Your job, if you work a regular job, right? Like, let's say me with the cleaning houses, right? My job, I get paid to go provide a service, right? If I was an entrepreneur, maybe I create some fucking steaming machine, right? A machine that steams clothing and irons it, saves time. I'm making money. I'm solving problems. That's literally what an entrepreneur does, right? Then you have to adapt. You have to look at the market. You have to see what people like, what people don't like, the feedback, how you have to change things, right? Innovate and invent. And I know a lot of you might be thinking, what the fuck, Enrique? How does this apply to my life? I'll tell you how it applies to your life. Because you have to have answers for everything. And in life, sometimes your circumstances, right, you have to adapt to them. Sometimes there's less money. Sometimes you're injured, right? If there's less money, right, guys, you might like to drink. We all, I like junk food. You might have, that might be your vice, right? But you might want to stop spending so much money on a certain bottle for some time until you get your money up, right? It's the same thing with an injury, guys. I've never once competed or fought out of the times that I've done so well. I've always had there's always pains, right? Always, but I've always had either some kind of injury. And what do? You adapt, right? If something is wrong, you have to adapt, right? It's the same in a fight. If you're losing a fight, you have to adapt. You have to switch it up, right? If you, for example, me with my first fight, right? I was doing pretty well, but it kind of all came down to the third round, right? So I had to put more pressure, more volume, right? And I won. When you look at my second fight, right, I should have put more pressure because I was doing well when I did, but I made a mistake and I lost eventually, on points. I kind of, got caught. I didn't adapt well, right? Like, that's an amazing thing about fighting as well, right, guys. It's such an honest thing because you get the feedback up front, right? When you don't adapt well, guys, I mean, that's fighting. But imagine life and death. You could die. People used to die back in the day. So now everything you're always going to be seen as somebody who has to provide answers, right? If you're driving your girlfriend somewhere and a tire gets like flat and popped, you have the answer. Do you or do you not? This is why I'm making this video, right, guys? Because adaptability comes down to solving problems and having answers, and that is your job as a man. That is how we are seen in society, right? Even though now there's a lot of narratives of toxic masculinity and, men have to be more emotional and all this shit, right? What are cops like? What are firefighters like? What are soldiers like? These are the men that solve problems. What are the men that you pay to watch fight? Me. You do it right now, right? Even though it's low level, right? But eventually, once I'm in the UFC, I'm that kind of guy, So I think a lot of you guys don't realize this. That's why I place such a heavy emphasis on becoming well-rounded and developing a lot of skills, right? From all these little things, like these self-improvement things, like hygiene and stuff. That's great, and that's for you, the gym. But this shit, ultimately, guys, being able to make quick decisions, right? Imagine if you're driving, going back to the car, right? A quick decision could be the massive difference between you dying or living. Think about that, right, guys? It's very big. Humans have always had to adapt, right? And it's good. It's good sometimes, Just like how when it's cold, you might wear a hoodie. I mean, there's some guys that always wear the fucking shorts, right, when it's cold. It's good, right, guys, to adapt, to move, to learn new things, to have a new job, right? And always be focused on, things that matter, such as your health, making money, and a main thing, maybe your main job, or with me, fighting, right? But you always have to adapt, because if you don't adapt, think of it as like quicksand, right? Not only do you get stuck, but you're actually going down, so you're stagnating, right, when you do not adapt. Always be the most honest person with yourself, right? Which is a hint for the next video. You have to be very honest with yourself. You have to look at how you're doing, and if you're fucking up, you have to make changes, because if not, you're gonna get left behind, right? This is something I've learned personally a lot, and my whole life, guys. I'm Mexican. I was born there. I lived there for my first year of my life, but I've grown up around the whole world. I don't really even have a home. You know, 中国, Beijing, which is where I was raised, and mainly in China. Is that really my home? I mean, I'm a foreigner. You understand, guys? So I always moved around, and it's great. It's great. It gave me a lot of opportunities to learn new cultures and to understand that the world is different. And even though, think about this, right, guys, to end it off. No matter how different the world and cultures and languages are, all humans have to adapt to keep on moving forward. So we might live in a very comfortable time. But I really believe that if you have this mindset of like solving problems and answering these questions and having like, just like I want to fight, right? I want to go to a fight and be prepared for everything. For boxing, for wrestling, for jiu-jitsu, right? I'm ready for everything. I have all the answers. So how the fuck can you beat me? That's my mindset, right, guys? I'm always adapting. And that's how you should too. I appreciate your support. I'm back, guys. Check this out. Got a new look. Jacked, right? And I did not think I'd ever let my hair grow out again, but I have to have it at least long once. I used to have it long a little bit before as a kid. So we're running back, guys. And new intro, new outro. It's pretty cool. I'm back, guys. I appreciate your support, and I will see you in the next video. Boom!